There's a problem with Keir Starmer's diplomatic discourtesy towards Bangladesh's interim leader, Mohammed Yunus, and an audience was denied. Keir Starmer, Mohammed Yunus should have met. Instead, we got a demonstration of the politics of avoidance and why. It's not every day that a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, the interim head of government and a symbol of democratic transition, visits your country and leaves without so much as a handshake from the Prime Minister. Yeah, that's precisely what's occurred in London this week. Professor Mohammed Yunus, interim leader of Bangladesh, has spent 4 days in the UK on a tightly choreographed diplomatic tour. He's met the King. He's dined with global celebrities at St James's Palace. He's held court with the Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle, and even managed a bilateral discussion with Jonathan Reynolds, the Secretary of State for Business. But one man has remained conspicuously absent, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Yunus came not merely as a symbolic figurehead, but as a custodian of a fragile transition after the mass uprising that unseated Sheikh Hasina last August. Yunus assumed the helm of an interim government tasked with stabilising a nation riven with repression, corruption, democratic vacuum, and one of the central aims of his visit to secure UK assistance in recovering billions of dollars allegedly siphoned off by the previous regime, funds believed to be stashed in British banks or properties. And what did he receive from number 10? Silence, not even the courtesy of a coffee or a corridor wave. According to reports, multiple official requests were made, formal letters were sent, yet Downing Street declined to schedule a meeting. The Bangladeshi delegation, in their diplomatic way, were told Sir Keir was probably in Canada, which would have been plausible if he hadn't in fact been chairing Cobra meetings in Downing Street and wasn't scheduled to leave for the G7 until the weekend. This is not an accidental diary clash. It's a deliberate diplomatic cold shoulder and a very public one. So why? Why would the British Prime Minister pointedly avoid a man widely respected abroad, celebrated at Buckingham Palace, and actively seeking to restore democratic accountability in a Commonwealth nation? The plausible explanation is discomforting. Yunus's visit has coincided with ongoing legal proceedings in Bangladesh implicating a number of former ministers, including, it seems, a case involving a former UK minister, Tulip Siddiq. Siddiq, the niece of the deposed Hasina, denies all wrongdoing. She has written to Yunus requesting a meeting to clear the air, but it is alleged that Starmer's refusal to engage directly with Yunus stems from a desire to distance himself from the legal and political ramifications of that very case. And if this is true, the implications are serious. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is prioritising a domestic political relationship over the moral duty to support a democratic ally investigating mass financial corruption. Diplomacy is theatre, but theatre laden with meaning. The King presented Yunus with the Harmony Award. The Palace choreographed an evening with stars of sport and stage. Charles and Camilla even gave Yunus a signed photograph. This was not accidental pageantry. It was a subtle but unmistakable signal of moral solidarity with the new order in Bangladesh. And while the monarch extended the hand of friendship, Starmer hid behind the sofa. The failure to meet is not just bad optics, it's bad politics, and it makes Britain look evasive, insular, morally inconsistent. We rightly demand support for Ukraine's sovereignty, for rule of law in Taiwan, for anti-corruption in sub-Saharan Africa. But when it comes to a fellow Commonwealth nation seeking stolen funds and transactional justice, we offer excuses or we hide. That isn't justice. That isn't honesty. That isn't grown up. And Keir Starmer ought to pull his act together. Yunus has said that the UK is already helping to trace these assets, but he's also noted that the UK has a moral as well as a legal obligation to help return what is not ours. This is an opportunity for Britain to demonstrate integrity in global finance and post-colonial responsibility. Instead of avoiding the meeting, Starmer has created the impression that Britain is reluctant to assist, or worse, complicit in shielding those under scrutiny, including those with Labour Party ties. The phrase defender of democracy is one that Keir Starmer has invoked often, particularly regarding Ukraine, Israel and NATO, but defence of democracy must be consistent, or it is hypocrisy. To ignore Mohammed Yunus, a man celebrated across the globe for social innovation, microfinance and peaceful reform, is not just rude, it's self-defeating. It alienates Britain from a rising democratic ally. It insults the diplomatic protocols of friendship and raises serious questions about those interests the Prime Minister truly serves. Leadership is not only measured in war rooms or budget briefings, sometimes it is measured in the courage to walk into a room and meet a man with awkward questions. And on that measure, this week, Keir Starmer has failed.